Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, please subscribe. If you're old here and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Basically, you subscribing helps us stay motivated to keep making videos. Anyways, today's video is a request. So if you request a video, we will for sure make it. So someone DM'd us on our Instagram at MJD and NYC and had this request. So here I am fulfilling said request. So today I'm going to be talking about textbooks in college. So do you need to buy them, how to read them, how much of them to read, the process of timing it out, etc., etc. Shouldn't be a very long video. I'll just be giving my experience and my tips with it. Keep in mind, I was a humanities-based major, so I did English and philosophy. So a lot of what I say, it might not be applicable to like STEM majors or anything like that. So if this doesn't resonate with you, feel free to disregard everything I say and definitely try whatever works for you. So yeah, let's get right into it. All right, so I guess the first question to tackle is just, do you need to do the readings? Do you need to read the textbooks or the assigned readings that you have? Yes. The short answer is yes, but there is a giant caveat to that yes. So do your readings, especially if you are an English or philosophy major where literally your grade is based upon doing readings and then writing essays, then obviously do the readings, or I don't see how you could do well in the class. But now on to like the caveat of, yes, you need to do the readings, but you don't need to do all of the assigned readings. So at the beginning of your term of whatever class you're taking, you are likely, hopefully on the first day, but by the first week, you will have a syllabus from the professor. And in the syllabus, in my experience, the professor outlines all of the readings that you need to do every week. When you first see it, you're like, what? Like, I'm taking 5 classes and I have to do this reading for this class alone times 5. Yeah, so really, if you do the math out, I think you could do all the readings, but you would not have a life outside of the library. I just don't see that being realistic. So in my opinion, I just feel like the professors are assigning it knowing that you are probably not going to get to all of it. So I don't feel like it's a bad thing not to do all of it. I feel like it's smart to be wise with your time and pick and choose. Be strategic with what you're reading. So now you're probably like, so how do I know what to read? This depends class to class because sometimes the assignments and the essays are cumulative. I can never say that word right. Cumulative. They encompass, like say the first essay is like 4 weeks into the semester. Some teachers will have that essay be on all of the writing that you read before that time period. But some teachers, it will be like choose one of the readings or textbook segments to write about. In which case, if it's not everything combined, you have to write about all of it, you can kind of slack off a little bit more. But if it is going to be cumulative, then you do need to read every reading, but not all of the reading of each reading. Does that make sense? So like if you get 4 different like textbook assignments, you don't need to read all of each 4, you just need to read a piece of each 4. However, if the essay is just like pick one of our readings that we did to delve into deeper, I honestly think you can kind of just read 1 or 2. I don't know, maybe that's bad for me to say, but I think that you can probably do that. So yeah, just in summary, you do need to read your textbooks. However, you can be strategic with how you read them, and you can do that by looking at the assignments, where they're placed in the course, and what the assignment encompasses. Because if it's an assignment that's like pick one of the textbooks or whatever, then you can focus on one. But if the assignment is more of a conglomeration of everything you've read up until that point, then you should be reading at least a little bit of each assigned reading. Okay, so I probably should have done this tip before, but before we even go into the reading of the textbooks and if you have to read them, let's talk about how you should get them. So where you should buy them, etc., etc. I went to Barnard, so at Barnard and Columbia, professors have a partnership with this bookstore called Book Culture. So there's one Book Culture on 114th and there's one on 115th and there's one on 112th or something. There's 2 different locations that are like within 6 blocks from campus or something, but the further location is the one with textbooks. So the Book Culture that's closer to campus doesn't sell like academic books, it's just like cute fun books, but the one that's further from campus sells academic books. And so I had so many professors who would put in orders through Book Culture. So you literally would go in, give your professor name, course name, whatever it is, show them the syllabus, and they have everything like stocked in the back. But I don't necessarily think that you need to do it that way, because Book Culture is expensive. In my experience, it's one of the most pricey ways to get your stuff. So if money's not an issue for you, or whatever the case may be, definitely go to Book Culture. It's super convenient. But if you want to save money, I would go to Amazon. Tried and true, look it up on Amazon. You can also go to, what is this? There's some really good website I used to use. I'll put it here. It is this place where I would buy used books and textbooks online, and they would be at least 50% off of what they're supposed to be sold for. And a lot of them would come with notes from other people, but that to me was helpful. I was like, I don't care. And like maybe the covers were a little bit faded, but if you don't mind it not being brand new, then definitely buy them secondhand from this website that I used. The next thing, of course, to do is check if it's already online in PDF format. You would be surprised how many like full PDFs are out there, and they're not even blurred. Like, you know, when you click on it and it's blurred, these, like, you can sometimes find them like completely for free somewhere, which is really nice. The other way I would get stuff was through Barnard Buy Sell Trade and Columbia Buy Sell Trade. So those are two Facebook groups. So even if you don't go to Barnard or Columbia, look up your college's like Buy Sell Trade Facebook group. And so many people are trying to sell their really expensive textbooks to someone else who's taking the course now. So you can also do it that way. So I would say don't jump right into buying your books new. There are so many other ways to get them. Yeah, you're just going to save money if you put a little bit more effort into finding like a used copy somewhere or doing some research on the best place to get it. Okay, so now we've covered how to get your textbooks. Yes, you do need to read them, and now how to judge what you need to read and so on and so forth. So what I would do, especially at Oxford, so at Oxford we only took 2 tutorials per trimester, which is like 2 classes per trimester, which seems really easy, but I had 2 2,500 word essays due per week, which is 5,000 words a week, which is a lot, and the readings would be super dense to go along with it. The problem at Oxford was that your tutorials, your classes were one-on-one, so you couldn't fake if you read the readings because the professor was sitting right in front of you and you were the only student. So it was really, really scary. But there, I learned to be very efficient with my time. So at Barnard and Columbia, you're never gonna have a one-on-one class. That's just, the American system doesn't do that, obviously. You will have seminars, and seminars are a smaller group of students sitting around a table, and I'm having flashbacks, I'm getting emotional. And in this small group table setting format, you will have to speak. Socratic seminars are a lot about participation. It's a big portion of your grade, so you definitely need to have read the book. So it's kind of like what I was talking about with tutorials, like you can't really fudge it. So here is how to do the amount of reading you need to do to not be embarrassed that you didn't do it without doing all of the reading. Here we go. So the first thing you're going to do is look at the introduction and the conclusion. So this is how I would read. First, I read the introduction, and then I would read the conclusion. And you're probably like, why would you skip the whole literal middle part? Because the author is writing the summary of their points in the introduction and conclusion already. So you can already get a feel for what you're reading and what's important in the reading if you first do intro and conclusion. So after I would read the intro and conclusion, then you want to read the topic sentence of every subsection. In the middle of the readings, there would be like sometimes bolded subsections, or even if they don't have those bolded titles, you'll just read the first sentence of that first section, and then you know what is that section about, and then you know how to pick out, like, your brain is already primed to see those certain important words. So the important concepts that come up in the intro and conclusion, now you're going into the middle parts and you're looking for those concepts. Because honestly, a lot of academic authors are very wordy and they put in so much stuff that is not even relevant to what your takeaway needs to be. Also, a good tip is look at what the assignment is. So what is the professor asking you to write about? And then look in the reading for what you're supposed to be writing about. Don't look in the reading to learn everything that the reading has to offer. Cherry pick from the reading what you need to know in order to write about what your professor is asking you to write about. So you just want to prime your brain with, here's what I'm looking for, here are the words that I'm looking for, here are the concepts I'm looking for. So then you can tune out all of the rest and you don't spend your time you don't waste your time on stuff that doesn't need to take up your brain space. So that is a tip on how to know what to read. Also, honestly, another good tip is if you are buying your textbooks used, read the people's notes and see where they highlighted the most, and like you can use what they found important as what you should find important. That was always helpful to me too at the library. I didn't even mention that. Go to the library for your textbooks. There are often copies there. I will say about the library thing, they get checked out really quickly. So if you know you're going to take a class that you are signed up for during the shopping period and you know you're not going to drop it, go to the library and check out the books before other people do. I very, very rarely had the opportunity to get my textbooks from the library because I was always too slow. So that is a tip. But anyways, that is off topic. So yeah, you do not by any means need to read every single word verbatim to understand what the author is telling you. In fact, I would say it's not a smart use of your time to do that. I just think it's unnecessary, and you need to budget your time for mental health reasons so you can actually be having fun in college. So don't read every single word of your assigned reading. That's just my opinion. And then at the end of when you're reading, try to summarize the reading in a way that you're teaching it to someone else. And if you can't do that, then you know you need to go back. So if you've finished your reading and using the strategy that I said, you haven't read every word verbatim, but you feel like you've gotten a feel for it, and at the end you can't summarize what you just read, like you can't teach it to someone who hasn't read the reading, then you know you're not there yet. Like you need to be as comfortable with the material as like if someone asked you to teach them what you just read, you would be able to do it. And then once you've hit that point, you know that you're good to go. Okay, so the last thing I'll address is definitely, I feel like the hardest thing for me to answer is, should you read before or after lecture, before or after class? This is really hard because I know people who've done it both ways. If you are in a seminar, I mean, I feel like this is pretty obvious, but if you are in a seminar where you are graded based off of participation, obviously you need to have done the reading beforehand, so that you can actually talk about it. But if you're in a lecture where there's like really no interaction between professor and student, like the classic, like in a big lecture hall sitting there taking notes, you don't talk the whole class. If that's the case, then you can totally read after the fact because no one's going to call on you to speak. So I guess I would say in that case, if you're in a big lecture, I think it's totally fine to read afterwards because I think the professor is going to hit on the important parts, and then you know when you're going to read what to focus on and what the main takeaway is. But if you're in a seminar or a small group class where you could be asked to participate, it's a way better idea to read beforehand, so then you are ready to talk about what you read. All right, yeah, so that really was nice and quick. I feel like I tried to give good tips and advice, but like I said, this is coming from the perspective of someone who didn't even use a lot of textbooks. I mainly read just like literature, I guess, like philosophers and novels and stuff. So it's definitely different if you are in STEM, in which case I apologize if you're in STEM and you feel like these don't apply to you. But I can only ever speak from my experience. So that was my experience. Please leave questions below if you have questions about anything I said or anything I didn't say, leave them below. If you have any requests for future videos, leave them below, or DM us on Instagram at MJDeanNYC, and subscribe, like all those things, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!